Hey, and welcome to MFFL TV. I'm your host, Dylan. And before we go too hard on the ropes, this is my first YouTube live, so don't go too rough on me. Don't really know what I'm doing. Let's just have some fun and play around with it. So, Mavs just lost their second game in a row in Summer League, losing in double overtime. They sort of really just threw the game away. They were up by 4 with 30 seconds left to go. Couldn't box out, silly fouls on three-point shots, couldn't really finish out the game. But just, first takeaways, definitely better ball movement than the first game. I feel like that first game was rough. Everyone was just going straight to the basket on their own, no passes. Everyone put their head down and just kept getting blocked. It was pretty ugly. But, this one, definitely better ball movement. Thought there was a lot of energy on defense, which looked good and not very familiar for the Mavs. So definitely can't complain there. One bad thing definitely was Tyrell Terry picking up an injury. He's sort of the one person everyone's looking out for. Can he break the rotation? And it's going to be tough. Looks like he injured his left groin, so don't know if he's going to be able to come back from that. Those usually do take a while and sort of do re-aggravate quite often. But, Eugene Omarui, another really good bright spot, put up about 16 and 8 rebounds. So he looks very composed. He says he belongs in the NBA. Honestly, he's looking the one bright spark so far because Tyrell's gone down. But he's got a real good feel of the game, always in the right spot, really good motor, can never question that. So he's definitely someone that's really looked good. I don't know if he'd play yet. He's still pretty raw, doesn't have a shot, can't really create his own shot. So he's more just there for energy and defense. But he does look good in the future, maybe a bit promising. Hopefully can be like a future Dorian Finney-Smith. But before I go on, if anyone's here, leave some comments. Let's have some fun. Sort of just an impromptu live stream. So let's see where it goes. Besides that, there were a few other undrafted rookies that played with Carlik Jones. He's sort of reminded me of a little bit of a Jalen Brunson, a definite score-first point guard. Comes in, doesn't really look to get others involved, sort of just goes at it himself. But, he looks like he can create his own shot. Decent shooter, nothing special. Hopefully he can develop into something. Maybe could be one of the guys that picks up a two-way deal. But besides that, EJ Oney also played, definitely a bit rough. He's very raw. His hands aren't great. But, yeah, he did have a nice oop. That's sort of what we expected of him. He took a shot, missed it, didn't get the ball that often. But he just looks a bit too raw for me right now. Maybe in the future he can do something again. But I think for right now, he's just a bit too raw. That being said, of the other undrafted rookies, Faron Hunt did play. He looked decent. So, he made some nice. He had a good dunk, had some nice shots, but played some good defense. Can't really argue. He didn't play that much as well. But the main thing about the video is, are any of these players going to break the rotation? That's what we want. Tyrell Terry, he's shown some bright sparks, but he does, he's very turnover prone. He doesn't really, he struggles with his physical game. He's a bit weak. Can he maybe in the future become something? As of right now, he does look like he's maybe not ready. If he does make the roster, I'd expect him to maybe be the third point guard if Trey Burke was to go. Otherwise, sort of one of those guys that just comes in if they're up by 20, down by 30, just gets some experience. He showed some good signs, came off the ball, hit some three. But I don't expect him to play many minutes during the season. Maybe it's sort of like a Josh Green, just see what we can do in short bursts, and hopefully he can break out, have some confidence, and keep going. And the only other one I'd really say is maybe Eugene Omarui. He's, he looked bright, did some stuff. The only thing is, can he really take that to the next level as well? He's doing okay in Summer League, but when you compare it to the NBA talent, I think it might be a bit difficult. That's the one thing as well. He played one season in Oregon, looked good. but it's hard to go to that next level. He's not a great athlete. He's not explosive, but I'd be keen to see where he goes from here. And as well as that, just going to end up with some free agency talk because that's really what everyone's looking at the off season. We don't really think any of these guys are going to break into the rotation. So reports coming out that Mavericks are still looking after Lauri Markkanen. A lot of fans are really split on this guy. Do they want him? Do they not? It sort of goes both ways. But look, a lot of people are comparing him to Maxey in the Mavs forums and stuff like that. I think he's definitely an upgrade. Yes, he's not the defender, but someone that can average 13 plus points a game off the bench as well. That's a huge bonus for us. I feel like we don't have enough guys that can consistently score. As well as that, he has shown signs of putting the ball on the floor, posting up smaller defenders, so he can add other elements that we currently lack at the moment. Yes, he's very similar to KP, but we don't need to play him together the whole time. We can mix and match them, maybe have them play about 8 minutes a game together. The rest, while Porzingis is out, can have Markkanen take over. Oofed. Here we go. How do you feel about Cuban saying we improved considerably? I don't like it. I think we've gotten better. I definitely don't want to say we haven't. I feel like Bullock is a really good player and someone that we could use. He's very tough, good three-point shooter, can play off the ball, but not only that, can run around screens and get shots. Sort of like what JJ Redick did for very brief stints, someone we can run plays through, get some screens. So I think he makes us better, but considerably better, I think is a bit of a claim. But, also it's sort of PR. I don't expect him to say anything differently. He's always very confident in the team, and that's sort of just Cuban, isn't it? I don't expect him to be like, yeah, we got worse or we did okay. He's always bigging up his team and sort of just trying to give us fans hope, and then it just fails. Maybe that's the problem. But, yeah, it was a bit of a slap in the face, I think, because, we all expected maybe a Lowry or a Lonzo Ball or someone to come in and sort of just take over. But, yeah, I can't say much more. I think we have gotten better, but just considerably is a bit of a claim. By the way, cheers, Bob. Love to have you all here, so keep it up with the questions. Hopefully you can stay around. So with Lauri Markkanen, just going to get back to him really quick. I think, especially with KP, I assume he's going to pick up some niggling injuries throughout the way. So I think if we do bring in a Markkanen, it's sort of good insurance just in case if he goes down. We do have a similar player that we can fit in. Don't need to drastically change the offense. And, he's got a lot of potential. He sort of regressed, yes, but I don't know if Chicago is the best place for him. I think if, Luka gets him the ball, he's going to be open. He's going to have better looks. If he starts hitting a couple, he can start getting in a streak. And I think Mavericks are a lot better offensively, and I think that just lifts everyone. I feel like if a lot of these other Mavs players went to other teams, maybe they wouldn't do as well as they do now. So I think Markkanen could really do a lot in Dallas. I think we'd have to see what we give up, though. Wouldn't have to, maybe Maxey and a first is a bit excessive, but maybe one of them you sort of got to give up. You always got to give up something to get talent back. Yeah, it's a bit hard, but that being said as well, there are rumors about Dennis Smith Jr. Cuban did say he expects he expects no additions at the moment because we've got a full roster. But if one or two guys were to go, that could be a conversation. And, I love Dennis Smith Jr., especially from his time here. I know he's not the player he was when he was here, but, he was always energetic, could create his own shot, is a good scorer. He has improved defensively. That's something he's really adamant about as well. So if he can do that and carry into it, I feel like that'd be a huge bonus for the Mavs. But as well, on a vet minimum, he's someone that you can sort of, it's not big of a risk. You can always cut him later on. He's not going to, well, I see a lot of people saying he's a cancer in the locker room. I think that's a bit excessive as well. And as well, lastly, still signs of Dragic. No one knows what's going to happen. Was interesting what Luka said about how he doesn't want to say anything because they're going to get fined if they do. maybe he knows something's going on in the back. I feel like with Toronto as well, they're not going to just get rid of him for nothing. So I think Mavs are trying to wait, trying to act as if they don't really need him to try and bring the price down a bit. But that's something we'll definitely have to see. Besides that, I know it's late in Dallas, so I might try and give you all a rest. This is my first live stream, so I might try and do this more often after games, especially when the NBA season starts. Going to try and do as many as I can after the game. Hopefully, can get more of you commenting and see how it goes. Just build a little bit of a community, have some fun after games, hopefully cool off some steam when the Mavs do end up losing. But besides that, good night, everyone, and I'll see you next time.